Okay. Typical question is a population function, right? It could be any kind of an exponential function. And actually, $1,740 is not a real good model. But that's okay, we're gonna solve it anyway because we make sense of it. Not a real good question. Okay, notice that this is e to the negative power, right? Well, e to any positive power is going to give you an increasing graph. E to any negative power is going to give you a decreasing graph. So in the future, this will never be 1,740, right? And it does say in the future, so you can change the number. Make it 340. Okay? If I didn't have t greater than or equal to 0, which isn't really necessary because that city's probably been there before, we could ask if this model is accurate, when was it 1,740? It would have a negative value of t. Okay? Right now, we'll just change it to where we get a positive value of t because of this. Okay, so what is the population 340? Well, what do? Somebody tell me. Okay. This is the population, and this needs to be 340. Everybody knows, nobody wants to say. You write down 740 e to the negative 0.025 t equals 340, and you solve for t. I mean, you can think of it in terms of a graph. Here's a graph. Here's your population. You know it's declining, so you know it's going to look like a negative exponential. Okay? And we want to find when the population is 340. You know, if t equals 0, you got e to the 0, so your population is 740. And you're looking for when the population is 340. So you could project out here and you could find it. There's the t that you want, right? Well, that's totally equivalent to solving this equation, right? Remember those problems I gave you where I said, draw these graphs, now express them as equations? Probably not, but okay. Something we might want to review because it's a real important connection because y'all are real good with this. You got to understand how this is related to this. This is the graph of 740 e to the negative 0.025 t. I haven't put a scale on it, but we know the graph is going to look like this, and for some t out there, we're going to come down to 340, right? And for some t, negative t, we were up at 1,740, right? So we could have solved that if it hadn't been for this restriction. Anyhow, this is the equation we got to solve. How do you solve this equation? What's the first thing you're going to do? Yes, you're going to divide both sides by 740. And then what are you going to do? You're going to change it to log form. Divide both sides by negative 0.025. And then you're going to say, well, that we know that the log base e is a natural log, so we got a button on the calculator that'll do that, so we just punch that into the calculator, right? Make sure you know how to use that calculator. I think you already have because you're taking tests over there. Okay?
Still kind of iffy with it.
Practice. And you always know whether you got the right answer or not if you plug it back in here and it works. Check things. It's the most important learning strategy that nobody ever uses. Okay? Or that few people use, some people do, I think. Okay.